3 times in the history of Let's Play Through have I scored a club 98 points. And the clubs I'm playing today are the new version of one of those. So back last year, I got a chance to try out the Maltby TS3, an incredibly forgiving club, long. The feel was excellent, everything about it. Of course, the value probably being the #1 thing in its favor. For a sub $500 set of irons, I just don't think there was better value that could be found on the market. Well, this year, we've got another sub $500 set of irons. In fact, $479 will get you a full set of the TS3.5s. We're talking 4 through pitching wedge. Now on paper, these have some incredible technology that could really help the game. But, and it's a big but for me, the loft structure especially is something that I'm really concerned about. These clubs are now 2 degrees, a full 2 degrees stronger than their predecessors. They're really built for speed, built for distance. Now, we can circle jerk to the stats all day long, but as you know, and of course I know, playing on course, testing it in real life conditions is what it's all about. And that's what we're gonna do today as we play 9 holes of golf. I'm gonna have an under-over of +1. So +1 or better golf, we know we've got a great set of irons. And we're gonna do that from a forward set of tees playing irons only. First, let's take a closer look at the technology packed inside this TS3.5. As you can see, a very deep cavity built into these. The heel of this club I would call medium, so it's not super thick and wide, but it's also not super thin either. It's in between. For a player's iron, I'd call that medium. I'd also call the top line medium plus, I would say. This is one thing maybe I don't love about these particular clubs, but is going to add to the forgiveness as well as the feel standing over the clubs. You're gonna be a little bit more confident probably with that bigger top line, especially for the mid-handicappers out there. Now, there is some offset, but I'd say it's pretty minimal. To me, I don't have the TS3s in front of me, but if I remember right, just about the same as those TS3s. You will see the cavity of these clubs from the 5 iron down. So the 5 and 4 iron in my set, you'll see a cavity. You really won't catch it on the 6 iron here, and certainly as you work your way up the bag, it won't be there as well. Now, like I said, the technology that you don't see is the biggest part of these clubs. So you can see these clubs are forged. They're forged from a nice soft steel, but there's 2 things happening in this set. In the 4 through 8, which includes the 6 here in my hand, we've got a co-forged tungsten weight that's in the toe. That is going to really, again, push more mass to the perimeter. This is going to optimize distance, dispersion, field trajectory, control, and overall playability according to Maltby. Now there's more hiding beneath some of the clubs in this set. In the lower clubs in the bag, you've also got a ceramic co-forging, which is a very lightweight material, but it's also very strong as well. And again, that's going to optimize the center of gravity and really add MOI to these clubs to make them super forgiving. Fascinating stuff. I'm explaining it at a very elementary level, and I recommend you go to their website to check out more. But as I mentioned, the one thing that I'm not such a massive fan of is going to be the loft structure. I'd love to see that same technology, but about 2 degrees weaker, like we saw in the TS3s. These 3.5s are going to sit at 29 degrees of the 7 iron, 20 degrees of the 4 iron. They're calling this a player's distance iron, but those lofts are much more game improvement than player's distance in my opinion. Now, the other great thing about Maltby and GolfWorks is that for $40, they'll build you a custom set using any of the shafts, any of the grips, and any of the setups that you want, whether that's upright, flat, whatever. Now, when you make those customizations though, it can drive the price of these clubs up pretty considerably. And I've got the basic shafts that come in the club packs at $479. These are the Score True Temper shafts, the same ones I've used on Maltby clubs before. Very inexpensive, but a fine performer. When it comes to steel shafts, I don't think that there's a huge, massive difference, to be quite honest with you. When it gets into graphite shafts, and driver shafts, wood shafts, that's a different story. But when it comes to steel shafts, they're all pretty similar. I've got a Super Stroke from Lambkin grip on here. This is a medium-sized grip. Man, it is a compelling price and a compelling technology packed inside, but let's take it out on a course and put it to the test. All right, we're starting off on a par 5 here for the on-course test. I've got my Garmin G80 to give us launch monitor data as well as accurate GPSs, so we'll know how far we hit these. With a good 4 iron, I could potentially get home in 2. That would be pretty sweet. Let's see if we can pull it off. I yanked it, but it was a good strike and it really felt good. Just like the TS3, these TS3.5 irons, exceptional feeling. We'll see how far they flew. Well, I hit that right at 198. We got no roll at all. And I can't say it was my best strike, but pretty good distance, I think, this time in the morning. And it looks like I've got the same to the hole. I've got 198 into this hole as well. So if I can hit a really good 4-iron, if I can cut through this rough, we'll have a shot at it. Now, as I mentioned, the sole of this club is kind of medium thickness, so we'll see how it gets through the rough. I'm gonna play it up in my stance a little bit, which is gonna have me come in a little bit steeper. And I hit the tree. And that's the first tree of the day there. I felt the club face turn a little bit there in the rough, whereas I wanted to almost hit more of a cut. It really came out wanting to move left, hit this tree. We'll see where it finished. Luckily on this type of hole, we still can get to the green in 3, assuming we find that ball. I guess I got even luckier because it finished in the fairway here. Okay, I've got 113 to this pin. And in this set that they sent me both a pitching wedge as well as a gap wedge. So I think gap wedge is gonna be the play. Generally, this is about a 120 club for me. Again, these lofts are a little bit stronger, so I'll even have to take a little bit off of this one. We'll get an idea of the stopping power here real quick. Well, didn't quite get there. So, for my first 3 swings of the day, they weren't great ones. Gonna have to rely on the short game now. And now I'm also playing the Maltby DRT wedges. There's gonna be a whole video on these, but this will give us our first early taste of them and what they can do from off the green. So, probably took a little too much off that gap wedge, but we're in a really good spot here. Probably could putt it, but I actually want to test this wedge. Oh, it's got plenty of grab, we just found out. All right, so an early bogey, which puts me on the bubble immediately. And on an easy hole, honestly, not a good start. Not a good start, but we got a lot of golf to play. Heading to number 2. Probably a good birdie chance hole as long as I can get off the tee box well. So from this tee box, this hole's playing 314, and it's a little dogleg left, which does suit my draw. I'll put a good swing on it here. I caught it thin. So that's 4 swings with these clubs that have not been the greatest. But I'm in the game. I'm in the ball game. Right down the middle, in fact. Peak height of these irons, both times with the 4-iron, a little low. I think. Certainly lower than the TS3s, but flew straight. It's doing that job very well. Again, didn't hit that very well, but we actually squeaked out 201, which means we have the exact same shot again that I just had. Now, I think where that pin is probably further back, 120. A little wind in my face, so I'm gonna unwrap this iron, which, as you can see, these are the first times I'm hitting them. This is gonna be the pitching wedge in the set. I just want to take a nice smooth swing. I could really go after a gap wedge, but when I first start around, I'd rather swing it a little smoother and let the club do the work. Tricky lie, downhill lie. Again, really came off the club low there. I think we stayed on the back of that green. It's hard to tell from here, but really low ball flight. It's gonna happen with this type of wedge, and I got a lot of roll out there as well. You're gonna get more roll out when you've got that pressed loft if you're not getting that peak height. We gotta continue to test it. I've actually got a really good opportunity here to birdie. So distance control was great, but again, from a physics standpoint, I'm not 100% sure. I'm loving the lofts here. Speed is about perfect. It just never broke. All right, so little tap in par there on 2. For hitting them as poorly as I have, I feel good about only being 1 over right now. But we're heading into the real teeth of this course. These next 3, 4 holes are super tight and long. So I've got to be accurate. I've got to start making better contact. And we got to start attacking some pins to get that stroke back. So if you've noticed the balls I'm playing, they definitely stand out. These are the Vista 360 Pink Edition. This is for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. In fact, for the Let's Play Through, Volvic's donating $2 of every dozen sold, in addition to the discount they're already giving us. So 15% discount if you buy 2 boxes, 20% discount if you buy 3 boxes, which is amazing for our community. So thank you to Volvic and their support of the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Thank you to the Let's Play Through community who is doing their part to support the cause here as well. All right, 4 irons to play again. Now, water runs down the entire right-hand side. I got to guard against that. But I've also got these cypress trees down the left as it really narrows in here. So again, accuracy really is at a premium. The ideal shot here is actually a little bit of a cut, which I'm going to try to play, and we're going to test a little bit of the workability of these clubs here as well. You know, we got a lot of cut out of it. That's pretty darn good. So we should be right side of this fairway in a really good spot. All right, we got another like 170 shot here. I've got a lot of bunker I need to cover as well. We're gonna go 7-iron. Again, I think the ideal shot shape is a bit of a fade here. So again, we'll continue to test workability because I'd like to stay away from that bunker. I'm kind of aiming for the middle of this green, hoping it cuts back a little bit towards the pin there on the right-hand side. Stayed out there very straight. Just a tiny, tiny bit of cut on it. And I don't know if we quite made the green. Again, trajectory much lower than I like. And that's a big thing for me because I don't put a lot of spin on the ball to begin with. So in order for me to really be able to control my distances, I need to be able to hit it a little bit higher. Also, I think I'm losing distance on these shots with it just not quite getting to that peak height. So even though they're pressed lofts, I'm not hitting them a mile. I can't say I'm swinging them my best, as I mentioned, but we got to continue to test. There's a lot of golf to be played. I feel like 7-iron with a little bit of wind behind me there, I should have made the green, and instead I'm chipping from off the green. It's got to go a little bit. Come on. All right, testy little putt here to save par. All right, whew. 4 here. Again, another tough hole. This one, even maybe more so than that one, I've really got to put some good swings on the ball if we are going to put ourselves in position to get that stroke back. Now, when I'm testing new irons, I always like to hit every club in the bag if possible. So we're going to unwrap our 5-iron here because that could actually run out of space. If I really caught one, we could roll past the landing area and it would make for an even tougher shot. That said, I still got to get all of this or else we're going to have a really long iron in. It's a tough hole. They all are, but this one in particular seems to get me. Oh, that was a really nice swing. I'll be interested to see how far that went. Now, I got a little wind behind me. I think my expected distance with a 5-iron at this loft structure should be right around 200, honestly. That's what we were getting out of the 4-irons, but I wasn't hitting those so well. That one was middle of the club face. So good news is the swing's coming around as well. And couldn't be a better time because, like I said, we're in a tough stretch of holes. Let's see how far it went, though. All right, we did it. 211's the number there on that 5-iron. Like I said, a little wind behind us. Not extreme, but probably helping about 5 yards. That was much better. Also a little bit better height. So put a good swing on the ball, you get good results. That pin to me looks middle. 123 is the number. I've made the mistake taking too much off the gap wedge and coming up short. So I'm just gonna give it a swing. I'm just gonna go after this one. Let the chips fall where they may. And we'll get a good idea there of stopping power on this particular shot. That's basically middle of the green. We're gonna have an uphill birdie putt at it. And it made that hole look really easy for a very difficult hole, thanks to that nice drive. I'm trying to remember the TS3s. I don't have them with me. I had to actually send them back to Stu, who let us borrow those clubs to test it. Thank you, Stu. Always a big Maltby supporter, maybe one of the best that hangs out in the forums. Just a great guy, and he hangs out in the comment section. He's a wealth of knowledge. So thank you, Stu, for all you do for this show. But I had to send those irons back to Stu, so I don't have them side by side, so I'm going off of memory. Feel-wise, I think with this thinner face and the way this ceramic co-forging really changes the center of gravity, I think these irons do feel better. I think they feel slightly better than the TS3s, which felt amazing to begin with. All right, now, again, my concern about stopping power, let's find out. We're all the way at the back of this green. I want to see where it actually hit. Yeah, look at that. Wow. So with a gap wedge in hand, I landed pin high. But look at that. We rolled out. I'm going to walk it off. 3, 6, 9, 12, 30, 33, 36, 37 feet. That's just way too much. I was on a slight downhill there. Again, a little wind behind me. That plays a role, but just too much. It's hard to control distance when I get that much roll out. And now I've got a much more difficult putt than I should have for 2 pretty good shots there on this hole. This is definitely a disappointment, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, dig, 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 dig. Distance-wise, not bad. I've got 5.5 slippery feet for this par. Oh. Okay, surrender a bogey there really should not have been. And a big part of that is just not getting the stopping power that you've got to get out of a player's iron. That hurts. We're 2 over, heading to a par 3. Okay, wind in the face here. We've turned around on the golf course. I've got 166 to a back pin. I think 7 irons to play. Oh my God. Okay, so oh, you're gonna have those swings. I gotta bounce back and just get it out of my head. I saw a great video from Alex Rodriguez, the baseball player for the New York Yankees, who said, and I'll try to link to the video if I can down in the description. It's such a good idea just for mindset that he said, when I made a bad play, I took 5 seconds to be mad and then I moved on. Same thing when you make a good play or a good shot. For us here on the golf course, celebrate for 5 seconds, then let's move on to the next shot, because it's gonna take 72 shots on average for a scratch golf around here. You can't linger too long on either the bad ones or the good ones. All right, let's see if we can bounce back right away and make a good shot. Yep, that's exactly what I needed, honestly. Just like that. All right, so walk away with a par. And after such a poor swing, that's a massive win for me. These wedges really are nice. That video is coming on the channel, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss it. Really enjoying those. All right, tee box is back here on the #1 hole on this side. I'm gonna go to a 4 iron. I gotta get all this one because we're also into the wind. And I'd love to get something like a 7-8 iron in my hand. I gotta hit a good shot to do that. And I still haven't really caught one of these 4 irons in the middle just yet. This is the swing though, I think. Yes. A little better peak height there. Still, I'd like to see more. From what I can tell, we're getting lower spin, which means we're getting a lot more roll out as well. In golf, everything is a yin and a yang. You make one adjustment here, it's gonna affect this. You affect that, it affects that. There's always something changing. So, you know, as a tee club, I like it. Again, we gotta see if we can get that stopping power here on this next shot for me to really think that I've got a good set of irons when it comes to the rest of the game, which is really important, attacking greens. All right, 155 is the number. This is a tough shot because we got some things working against us. We've got wind working against us. We've got the slope of this fairway, which is, the ball's gonna be above my feet and wanting it to push right to left pretty severely. And the problem is there's a big bunker there, short and left. It's a very well-designed hole. I'm actually gonna aim out here for the right tip of this green. I'm gonna hit a 7 iron, which is a little more club. And if we get the draw, this one will probably kick forward, but that'll be okay. We could be close to this pin. That's the only way to really get at it. Oh, it's really turning over. I hit the green, but it rolled way off. So again, the low trajectory, low spin for my game, it's not doing so well. Might not be your game. If you need the distance, if you prefer to kind of roll it up onto greens, maybe you're playing more link style golf, these clubs could work really well for that use case scenario. But for me, where I'm trying to get to some pins in some tough spots, it's been very difficult right now. We got another chip off the green. Let's see if we can make as good of one as we did on the last hole. I hit somewhere in here. I don't exactly see the pitch mark. Oh yeah, here it is right here. And it shot over, because that was moving hard right to left. That lie definitely played a big role in it, but again, we're not getting a ton of spin, which made that a little bit more difficult. Come on. And that's the club that's keeping us in the game right now. If it wasn't for the chipping, the score could be very, very ugly. All right, 3 holes to play. I do think the swing is getting better, so I'm confident we can hit that number. Let's do it. 4 iron. And that's the start I needed. All right, let's see if we can redeem the 7 iron. I've got 154. I'm gonna go 7 iron again because we're still into this wind. So I'd really like to smooth one in, work one a little left to right if possible. One thing that I haven't mentioned, but that has become really apparent to me as I've started to hit the middle of the club face, like the last couple of tee shots I've hit. These are some of the best sounding clubs I've tested. I think I always go back to the Wilson Staffs as being my favorites. There's something about that sound that I just really love. It's organic, it's old school, it's classic. This has that similar type of tone to me. I really like them. So sound and feel exceptional. Oh my gosh, another horrible shot that we're gonna have to rely on the chipping game again. The swing weight of this club, I'm not exactly sure how it was built. I gotta double check the specs. It just feels very heavy in hand. I don't know why. All right, a little short-sighted again here. Gotta cover the bunker as well. It's a shot that requires very soft hands. And that was not too bad. All right, so short game saves me again. Heading to a par 3. It's probably like a 9-iron shot, it looks like. I don't think I've swung that club yet. That could be the magic one. I know it's not the 7-iron. I don't know, with every set of clubs, there seems to be one in the set I don't get along with well, but there seems to be one that I really love and I can just do no wrong with. I'd love to know down below what that club is for you in your set. For me, it used to be a 6-iron with my old Titleist DCIs. For some reason, that 6-iron was just money. And with my current set, I would say the 8-iron is really the club I hit really well. What is it for you though? Let me know. Again, ton of wind in my face. 136 is the number. 9-iron should be right, I think. Oh, that's on a good line if it's the right distance. And if we get the stopping power, should have a good crack at birdie and get that stroke back. All right, that's the swing I've been waiting for sure. So like I said, maybe the 9-iron's the club in this particular set that will be the one. But let's check that pitch mark. Again, I'm really interested in the stopping power. I haven't had many chances to check it today. Let's find out. All right, my eyes don't deceive me here. We roll down about, let's see, 1, 2, yeah, 2.5 yards. Again, pin high, the distance was perfect. So stopping power is gonna be something that could hold these clubs back for players. Now again, the mid-handicappers, the folks that really the type of clubs like this or the P790 type of club, Tacoma 101s, that sort of thing, those folks maybe aren't as concerned with stopping power and need the forgiveness. The forgiveness in these clubs is there, the stopping power is lacking, but that said, we still have a very good crack at birdie, uphill, left to right, 11 feet. I don't mind tap-ins. We're headed to our final hole here. And I've got to get that birdie if we're gonna hit that number. After I take my tee shot, we're gonna rank these clubs. All right, I'm gonna go 5-iron here off the tee. This is a 3-shot hole, especially into the wind here today. Par 5 to finish. 3 nice, solid shots to end this round would be great. That's maybe one. All right, time to rank these clubs. Our first category is gonna be distance. Now, I felt I got one shot that I really got expected distances, again, for this loft structure. It was that 5-iron I hit on the 4th hole. Apart from that, I wasn't really carrying the ball much more than my normal carries with clubs that are maybe even 2 degrees weaker. And the big reason of that is just wasn't quite getting up to that peak height. With my swing speed, we lost distance. So distance-wise, for me, I would say these are a 4, okay? I think they're still gonna have some good pop to them. And if you are a person that maybe gets down into the ball and gets a little bit more lift, a little bit more spin, that spin will actually get it up in the air higher, get a little bit more distances, you could see a little bit more. But for me, I'm gonna call it a 4. Now, when it comes to forgiveness, these clubs really shined. I was not swinging my best today in any way, shape, or form. The fact that I'm standing here on the 9th hole and I'm only +2 is a testament to the short game for sure, but it's a testament to these golf clubs that are very forgiving on low contact, on toe contact, because I made plenty of that today. I would call these clubs, I would call it 4.5 out of 5. It took me a second to come up with that number, but the reason is distance on off-center hits is probably where I ding it just a tad, but very, very forgiving clubs. When it comes to workability, again, I think a solid performer. In terms of right to left movement, able to control your trajectory, I think it does a very good job. Maybe not as good as some of the best ones on the market, but very ample. I'm gonna call it a 4. When it comes to aesthetics, looks, feel, and sound, looks, I think, is the one place where there's maybe a little thicker top line than I like, especially when you get into the 4 or 5 iron, you start to see the back of that club a little bit, but still pretty good. But sound, feel, exceptional. Those are like 6 out of 5s. All in all, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a 4.5 out of 5 for aesthetics. Again, highlighting the sound and feel of these clubs. Mwah. When it comes to value, 4.5 out of 5. The price is extremely right at $479 for a fully built set. You're just not going to find very many great performers in the market for that. And if these clubs performed a little bit better in some of those categories, I could have easily seen this being a 5 out of 5, but still a very strong score here for the TS3.5 on a day that I didn't swing my best. I'm still hanging around And we've got a chance here, if I can hit a couple of decent shots and a good putt, to maybe hit that number. Let's make it happen. 5 irons the club here again, just laying up into position. Perfect. All right, 123 is the number, pitching wedge is the club. It's on a great line. Oh, it's long. First time really today. I've been real long. Well, here's our chance at hitting the goal, but it's a long one. That pitching wedge again landed right in here. It did catch a little bit more roll out than I'd like. So again, something to think about with these irons. All right, last putt here for our +2. That would be not so bad. All right, so a little more of that hole that I wanted, but we pulled it off. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll catch you back here next time on another edition of Let's Play Through.